Whoop. Okay, maybe this is working. Do let me know. Do let me know, people, in the comments if this is working. I hope everything is looking good today. Had a little bit of technical trouble there with screen resolution, so that's always fun. Anyway, hopefully everything is transmitting well. Hopefully everything looks good, looks fine, and is going to be watchable, I guess. Hello, everybody. I'm Evan Abrams. I'll be hanging out with you this morning, doing some motion design for our little Mograph brunch. We get together and have a chill hang, and maybe learn a few things. I don't know. We'll find out. For a little peek behind the curtain, I try to share my screen in like 1920 by 1080, but I do not work in. I don't usually work in that resolution. Right, that's not usually what's going on for me. So I had to change the screen size, and when you're screen sharing and all that stuff, weird and wacky things have occurred and did occur, and it was bad. And now things are good though, so things seem to be good, or at least we'll find out when I go to dip into the interface. But good people of the internet, do let me know what you're up to, what you're doing, how you're doing this morning, where you're from, all that good stuff, and hopefully it's a good time. Today we're going to be working through the excellent prompts given to us by the good people at Behance. So hopefully that's good. It's gonna be great. The prompt this morning is the movies. At the movies is what they would like us to work on. Something inspired by being at the movies, going to those movies, seeing things, interacting with stuff. But we'll see how good that is. Also, let me know, some of your favorite movie memories. Did you even enjoy going to the movies when that was available to us? Hello, everybody in the Behance. Good to see all the regulars coming back. And some new people. I don't know, Ramez, if I've seen you in the Behance chat before. Oh, boy. It's gonna be a rough day today, everybody. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, what we're working on today. I don't know. We're gonna see what's up and what's good. I kind of want to do something a little bit complex today, and we'll see how that goes. Also, let me know what you're up to this weekend. I see that Kent Williams is going to be working on some Octane rendering. Dosa recommends that I drink some coffee. Oh, that would be bad, because then I would have terrible heart problems. Oh boy, yeah. No coffee for Evan. Caffeine bad for Evan. Spent my childhood drinking too much caffeine, and it's no good. It's caused a lot of troubles later in life. But yeah, let's see. Let's see. Oh no, where did my wonderful image go? Oh well. Can't see things all the time, I guess. All right, we're getting it set up. We're going places. Let me just see if I can get this to fix itself. People can still see. People can still look at stuff. Good. Okay. I don't know. This looks weird. Something seems weird today. Oh well. Oh, okay. So, what was I talking about? I wanted to do something kind of complex this morning. And the marginally complex thing I want to do is kind of have a scene that we're going to kind of push into that scene, and then whatever was on. Oh boy, let me back up. Here's the idea. We're going to be seeing sort of a movie theater, and we're going to be observing like the screen from the back of the theater, right? And then we're going to push in to be inside the scene that's on the screen, and then we're going to push further in, and then we'll find another screen, and then we'll push into that. So my idea is like, maybe we start in a movie theater, and then we move into kind of a forest situation, and then we keep pushing forward, and then we move into we move into like a drive-in movie theater, and then we push into that, and then we move into a home viewing environment, and then we loop it back to get back to movie theater, right? Constantly kind of pushing forward through those scenes. Now, this is actually a pretty common a common move that we see happen, right? Pushing forward through scenes to get into your various nested situations. So figuring out the way we're going to get from one to the other, how are we going to dovetail between them, and what sort of the best way to make that work is, we're going to find out. There are a lot of methodologies we might employ, and I think today we're going to do some of the pre-production stuff to make that kind of work for us and to try to get into where we want to go. Because the end has to look like the beginning and the beginning like the end, then we need to do a bit of setup for ourselves, and that's kind of what we're going to be working on today. So, I don't think people can see my face up in there. Hold on, let me just try to fix some. Wow, this is so wacky this morning. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did with my various interfaces to cause these things to transpire. Well, that looks fine now. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. What I think I want to do is try to compartmentalize these three areas, these three specific scenes we're going to be pushing into and through, and to try to stick them into their own comps, right? So this is going to be scene 1, theatra, like so. Should I be working in square? No, we're going to find out. So scene 1 is going to be the theater. Scene 2 is going to be the drive-in. And then scene 3 is going to be home. They have the drive-in theaters are all still open around here, so the ones that weren't destroyed by earlier economic problems. So that's the idea. I'm going to throw in some placeholders, and we are going to try to make this stuff happen. The big thing that's going to be interesting is when we have to pivot from pushing into a screen that is kind of flat, and then it becomes its own scene, right? How do we reconcile that situation? So we're going to see what we can do. We might just add a bunch of weird stuff in here, but let's get it started. I'm going to make some new solids. I'm going to mostly be working with kind of black and white stuff. So various levels of kind of tone. Yeah. Okay. So I'll call this the screen holder. Because what we might end up doing is just having like comp on screen, right? And we'll see how that kind of works out. Oh no! apparently my audio is out of sync. I don't know how anybody can ever tell if my audio is out of sync. I'm always doing weird stuff with my face hole anyway. All right. Okay, so move this out of the way so I don't bump it. We're gonna go from the back of the theater forward. So we would need some objects. We could try to accomplish this stuff using some regular camera movements, right? So when we're talking about camera, if we stick with a 50 millimeter, that will be pretty normal. More extreme, less extreme. Let's leave it at this. So when we're dealing with sort of camera settings, for those who maybe don't know, what we're doing is we're basically setting up a camera that's going to mimic real life cameras. And so when dealing with things like, focal length, angle of view, your zooming, all this stuff, we're not going to need the depth of field on. This idea of having wide angle or narrower angles of view is going to change the way things relate depth-wise when we start pushing this around the scene. So 50 millimeter is pretty standard feel. It's not extreme one way or the other. we might change how we feel about that in a moment. But we're going to soldier on. So I like to kind of work backwards sometimes, that if our goal is to push into this screen, let's say that we're going to hang out in each of these. How long does each one really need to be? Let's go ahead. Let's do a little bit more thinking. Let's think a little bit harder about this stuff. That for a while, each scene has to live inside another scene, right? So if we're here in, even though we're in the movie theater, right, for the first little bit of the movie theater scene's life, then, you know, what we're going to have is this thing kind of being static and hanging out, because it's going to live inside the other comp, the previous comp, right? So each one has to be around for a little bit in the previous comp before this one kind of gets activated. So I'm just going to start dropping some markers, right? So for this period, everything is chill. And then for this period, we are entering, say it takes 2 seconds here to enter this scene or to resolve this scene. And then let's say it takes another 3 seconds maybe to push forward to where we want to end up, and then the other scene is going to take over. So that means that at this point, this thing here, which is meant to be our screen placeholder, which I'm just going to stick a simple grid on here. Would that be 80? Is that gonna? Yeah, that's gonna be fine. No, we're gonna go back to 80. So stick a simple grid on here just so that when I start moving, it starts to make sense. Good to see all the regulars hanging out on the Behance stuff. So that means that we are going to be pulling back from this scene. So we're going to make this 3D. And if we just start pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, like so. And that here we might even be pulled back even further. Now, the big question is, do we want to try to standardize these distances when we're working things out so that it's always the same kind of standard feeling movement as we get in and where we go? So that's something to think about. All right. Shaker says they'd like to watch this back in 2x speed. Hey man, watch it whatever speed you want. It's I mean, that's the trouble with live stuff. You know, when it's live, you gotta do it at the speed it's getting done. But I can appreciate everyone has various attention problems, attention needs. So, you know, we're all just getting by. I don't know. It's a chill morning, man. Just enjoy. Relax. So at this juncture, I'm trying to think about kind of the speed that we would use to get from a thing into another thing. That's the idea anyway. That's what we're trying to get going. And we were talking about perhaps standardizing distances and stuff. So parent these things together. Try working with some normative sizes. Because really each scene would then contain the same kind of thing. And I'm wondering if at this juncture, right, this movement here, right, because we're going to be going from the thing, so this for this period here is on the screen of something else. And then we enter in, and then we know this is a movie theater. We know it because there are going to be various things that are going to explain it. And then we're going to push in. It's going to be a movie theater with a thing on the screen. So let's build that up a little bit more. And then ideally, I'm just able to sort of stick one scene into the other and then dovetail them end to end like that. That should work out. That's the thought anyway. But yeah. So this will store whatever scene 2 is. Because really you end up making 4, right? You end up doing it, even though we have 3 scenes here, we're actually doing 4 of them, right? Because we start at, hold on, we're going to start in scene 1, then we're going to go to scene 2, then we're going to go to scene 3, then we're going to scene 1 again. So it's actually a little bit silly for me. Yeah, so scene 4 is just going to be theater again, which means that they don't have to necessarily do all of this difficult work as long as the two kind of look the same at a certain point, right? It's a trick. It's not real. It's a trick. Everything's a trick in here. But yeah, so at this point we should be out. So the question is, will there be enough time to put a bunch of stuff around? And should I just start colorizing this stuff, making one blue, red, so on? And then what would be in this space to make this? So right now I'm just kind of thinking through what elements are going to be in the scene to tell us that this is, you know, that this means movie theater. What elements are going to be in a scene later to determine the rest of the things. So pop, pop, pop. And then basically scene 2 will just live on this. So, okay, I'm going to copy all these things. Go into scene 2. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to delete these. Those were a fun way to start, but I'm just going to duplicate this because I want the various things that are still in it. Scene 3 is home. So Andy MK is asking, solid, not 3D elements. I don't know. Right now we're enjoying a little pre-production. The solid itself is 3D. Yeah, I don't know. We might end up. So at this point, right? So at this point, we might end up doing work here and then bouncing into Cinema 4D. We might end up doing work here and going to some other place. Right now, the purpose of today is to figure out the methodology we want to use in order to complete the rest of these ideas. So you don't really need to become granular at the start of a project. So deciding, am I going to open up Element 3D? Maybe. But now is not sort of the best time to think so granularly. We just want to find something that's going to work and then sort of go with that and try to make that something. What was I saying before? Something about 3 colors that I wanted to make happen. Yeah, and then like so. Okay, so this is the theater. Anyway, hopefully that's a useful thought. Probably not, though. I don't have a lot of useful thoughts. Mostly just banal thoughts. Just regular speed thoughts. Okay, so, yeah, like I said, in scene 1, we're going to have... Theater 2, Revenge of Theater. Right, because it's a loop. We're going to end up back here. Now, you would think, well, why don't you just put... If you're going to end up putting scene 1, you know, you're going to end up nesting scene 2 into scene 1, and scene 3 will be nested into scene 2. Well, couldn't you just then nest scene 1 back into scene 3? Well, that creates this infinite loop, right? Which in programming sense, not usually a good idea. But just a thought. Because while visually we want a loop, we do not want a logical loop, because that becomes recursive and strange. So let's see. If we were to stick... Yeah, let's take scene 2 of the drive-in. It's going to go in here. I like that it has its own set of keyframes in here. Right, so then they'll line up like so. This is going to be 3D, and we're going to stick it on the screen holder, right? So, boop. And this scene is really going to start here, right? Whoop. So do we like this movement? Not especially. I think this needs... Yeah, this should go... And then this one... Get that off the floor so it's always in motion. Oh boy, half an hour in and I've already not done much. So, I think this gap here is too long. So what we're going to do... You know what I'm going to do? For now, what I need to do actually... Yeah, delete them. Let's not worry about labeling things. Let's just call them scene 1 for now, because I think we're going to do a few iterative trubs like this. Now, granted, we could end up simplifying a lot of things, but this is kind of just an easier way for me to work out some of these details. Because that movement is going to have to dovetail with that movement. So... Still too much of a bump. Right? Too much of a bump. So we're going here. What is that dent? Okay, line up my grommets here. Okay. So far, so good. This is fine. And then what goes in here? Okay, inside scene 2 lives scene 3. Scene 3 we're going to recolor again to be kind of a noxious situation. Moves ahead like so. Now the big question I'm sure many people are asking are, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What actually is going to get rendered here? What's really going to get rendered at the end of all this? Well, don't worry, we're going to get there. It's all part of the process. Just an endless recursion here. So, if this... right, has to hang out long enough for us to go... Ah, yeah. So the big thing is that we're going to need some cover in here, right? We're going to need to cover some elements. Because, yeah, this... yeah, then we're back here. Okay. Now what's great is that because the conceit is that everybody's watching this screen, right? It makes sense for this kind of screen in the middle here to simply be cutting like a movie does. Like it'd be like this thing, this thing, this thing, and then suddenly we're set up to go to the next scene. So that's not going to be terrible. I'm actually pretty happy with how this kind of feels. I wonder. Oh, why wonder? Where's the loop point? It's there, right? Yeah, all right. So I'm kind of happy with this drift that we're getting. You know, the broad strokes motion of the thing. I'm sure for people watching, it's like, wait, what is happening? How was any of this about a movie theater? I don't know. Scott McMahon is asking, can you explain the process and parenting? Explain the process and parenting. So what we've been doing here has been, step one is I needed each scene to feel consistent, right? So in order to do that, these are all just duplicates of the same scene. And the core thing that I think is important is getting this feeling of moving forward making sense, and for that to be feeling good in terms of we're going to enter a scene, we're going to understand it, then we're going to push into that scene more, and then it's going to change. So the context is going to be constantly changing a little bit. Now, in terms of parenting, each one of these has this null in it. And this is one thing that I wanted to parent to. So the camera is parented to the null, I think, just so that these kind of numbers felt more regular to me anyway, because the null lives at 0 on the z-axis. Then this camera can kind of be understood in terms of its relationship to that null. The null also lives at where the screen lives. So this screen placeholder that's really just there to give a sense of scale during this opening period, because the screen holder is going to be replaced with the contents of other comps, which in this case means scene 2. Now, as you know, when we enter scene 2, at this point, scene 2 can take over completely. In fact, all these other layers of scene 1 are totally useless because the screen is just covered by scene 2 that's come up and gotten large, right? It's this big. And that's because we're just returning the camera to the origin. Now, the origin of the camera. So when cameras are created, they attempt to frame everything perfectly to the bounds. That's why when you create a 50 millimeter camera and then you change it to a 24, things start to look a little bit weird. It's different than just creating a camera at 24 millimeters. Hopefully that makes sense. So the idea here is that each scene is going to be kind of taking over. And so this block takes over. Okay, then we're into this situation. And then another block is going to take over. So these layers, all of these layers are worthless from here on out, right? But the important thing is that the sort of arrival of this here makes sense, right? Ahmed is saying, if you make all keyframe easy ease, it's more smooth. I guess so. I think what I've done so far is perfectly smooth, but you know, we could do that. The idea, so Ahmed, the idea with the keyframes here, right? So it seems jerky here in this comp, right? Well, let's play the whole thing back, right? Play it back for all of these things, right? As we're moving through the bump, you know, that's when that maximal acceleration is taking us from one thing to another. So that's why it's slow and then over the bump, and slow and then over the bump, right? So this idea, the reason why these here are terminating at their maximum speed is because each scene enters at its maximum speed. So in order for that to make sense, we want to be, if they were all eased, right? If everything was easy eased, we would be reaching points of no movement, right? Because an easy eased keyframe reaches that point of zero acceleration. And those are like holding moments. It'd be like move, stop, move, stop. But what we want to feel, at least for me anyway, here is acceleration, deceleration, never stopping, always moving forward. And as we transition from one scene to another, to have that little bit of a like you're passing a threshold of some kind. So that's the idea when we're having these moments of maximal or maximum acceleration as we move from one scene to another. Hopefully that makes sense in terms of smoothness. Yeah, I don't know if that comports, but anyway, let's see about adding some more elements in here so that it kind of starts to fill in more of the picture. We can get an idea of what kind of assets we might want to throw in here. Also kind of worth thinking about at this juncture, you know, if these are things that need to be made in After Effects, made in Illustrator, these are things going to be made in Cinema 4D. What are we going to do to bring this thing home, right? Because right now it's just a bunch of abstract weirdness out here. But we'll try our best. We'll try our best. That's all you can really do. What makes a movie theater? When you're in a movie theater, what's in there? What's in the room? I think I'm going to write down curtains. Like those big velvet curtains? I don't know. There's curtains around the screen. Theater has curtains, seats, people in seats. I think that projector light. I think that helps because we're trying to think about what elements can we drop into this space that will sort of tell the tale of what we're in. I think those sound baffles are things that we find inside this space. Hello, Black November. Hello. And hello to everybody. I know we've been doing this for 45 minutes this morning, so, you know, hopefully that's good. Yeah, I'm just going to get to work dropping in some shapes that I think mean movie theater in here, and we'll try to just balance the things out. I don't know why. I always remember these kind of like sound panel-y things over on the walls, you know? I compared them to the little null over here so that they kind of fit. Maybe push this way, push that way. Let's see, this is an interior room of some kind. You'll also find this is kind of how a lot of like a storyboarding process is going to kind of work. Thinking. Is that where these need to live? Let's do... Let's do instead... What is the darkest object in the room? Got a back wall in here. Some side walls. I'm getting the idea we're in a space of some kind. Somebody's calling me. Decline. People should know not to call me. Often. Alright, this is... Oh, Black November is asking a question in the chat. Randomly wondering. They're thinking of adding new skills to complement their motion graphics skill set. They animate characters and playing with shapes. They're torn between learning traditional 2D animating, 3D modeling, and video editing. Oh boy. Hopefully someone in the chat can render some assistance on that. It's definitely modern conundrum. That I think a lot of people struggle with is this idea of like, what should I be doing next? Most in demand. I don't know. That's a rough spot. I try to avoid giving any kind of business advice these days. It's hard to say what is, I mean, what's in demand. You can just check and see the various spaces that you're currently looking at. What skill sets are people asking for, right? That's not super hard to figure out. I will say that video editing and editing in general is a skill set that is useful sort of at a meta level. So that's something that I would recommend that people kind of get into. Yeah. So video editing is a useful skill set to acquire because it kind of helps all the others as well. It has kind of a meta effect to it. This is the back wall. Why am I not labeling things right? Back. So like the idea of timing and no, this is the right side. Oh my goodness. I need to stop trying to talk and type at the same time. Anyway, so my recommendation is to always, always, always improve what is most meta and foundational. What? There we go. And video editing can help with a lot of things. We'll say there are a lot of things to look at when it comes to video editing that I think are pretty critical to think about. And also as it relates to sort of all these other things, right? Like your Mograph will improve if your sense of editing improves. Your idea of character, sort of character and scene and stuff all of these things will improve as your editing improves. So yeah, that's maybe number one, because it's the least granular of the three. But really, you have to do what your heart wants, I guess. Do any of those feel like a thing you'd be passionate about, and then get into that, I think. Okay, this feels like an empty movie theater, so I don't really... So yeah, then we need to come up with a solution for seats, a solution for an aisle. There needs to be an aisle that takes us up to the screen. And again, like I said, we're just kind of blocking things out in terms of color and shape and thinking about what's going on. We needed a screen up there, so let's do that. Let's try to make that happen. Yeah, because where does this thing need to live? It needs to live basically on where the null is at. In terms of any specific color, usually it's like a red curtain, but I think it just needs to be different enough from the back wall. And, I mean, the real important part... Oh, yeah, it's friggin'... Ooh, Yeah, I'm not going to be able to use this to really do my recoloring because... now I'm going to have to actually color things. Folks, how annoying is that? Oh, boy. So as we get in close to the thing, this needs to be at such a location that it wouldn't be interfering. But yeah, it still does kind of block a little bit out. Make it stand out a little. Okie doke. This is kind of the, you know, the curtain will open as we enter. And then the movie will start playing. And then we'll drift past the curtain into the world of cinema. Ooh, ooh. Oh boy, Umacorn, you're right. There is a new Bill and Ted. I like that you say you saw somewhere. Did you see? Was it perhaps everybody tweeting about it nonstop? Oh man, don't do that. Okay, that kind of conveys enough movie theater for me. Just enough at this point. Oh, you know what? We're at the halfway point here. Time for me to get hydrated and read what questions people are dropping into the chat and see if there's anything I can do to help out. AB Graphics is asking, how do you create ideas for motion graphics? What an interesting idea. I mean, that kind of brings us to the heart of what creativity is and how it works, how we believe that stuff happens. But I am a firm believer in sort of working the problem. And so, for example, today we're working off of a prompt brought to us by the Behance crew, has asked us to create something in line with at the movies, right? So, from that prompt, we start to spill out a bunch of different ideas or connected ideas or just connected thoughts, putting them all out together, figuring out which to keep, which to throw away. And that's kind of the process that we use for solving for a lot of sort of client demand stuff, is that we're starting with a brief and then we're exploring a bunch of thoughts. But a lot of it is simply giving yourself the space to come up with bad ideas. I'm going to say that like 70% of all ideas I come up with are terrible, and then the remaining 20% are good, and then like 10% of them are acceptable. So you want to get to the acceptable ones, and then you start to refine those. But in terms of like, if the question is how do I create something out of nothing, there is kind of a mysterious quality to that, but it is a lot of working the problem and actually examining what do I want to do, why do I want to do that, and what is the point that I'm trying to get at, and then from there, more things stem from it. That's kind of the difference between an artistic exploration and a design-driven exploration. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. It's not really a magical or ethereal process. It is simply doing the work of carefully considering and coming at something from different angles, not becoming fixated on one thing, but expressing many different iterations of it. Thankfully, I did all of that before the stream today, so these are all gold. But hopefully that helps. And then Danielle Longo is asking about this screen situation. And yes, this is I just animated one of them, and then I didn't want to spend a lot of time animating the rest of it, so I just flipped it. I'm going to make sure I save my work now at the halfway point, because I don't want to do an oopsie here and break things. What is today? Today's September 5th. At the movies. Okay. So let's continue on with this idea. Now, part of this is that we want to be sort of revealing and showing things. So this is going to be revealed, and now we're entering into that space. We're entering into that space now. So by this point, things need to be resolved a little bit, because now we're entering into that scene. So this is a drive-in movie theater. What feels drive-in movie theater to us? What are some ideas? And I guess to go along with that, right? AB graphics. This is exactly that thing. Like, I want to show something that looks like a drive-in movie theater. What belongs around that, right? What ideas need to exist in this space around the idea of drive-in movie theater? Okay, so we need to know that it's nighttime. I'm going to write down night. We need to know that there are cars, right? There should be cars or trucks or something like that. So vehicles. Now, as you can see, I'm actually kind of writing it down on a thing, right? And so the idea is we're coming up with ideas that are going to tell people that this is a drive-in movie theater unambiguously. So, like I said, nighttime. What means night? I think maybe stars, maybe the moon is gonna feel like nighttime, right? And let's see, what else will make this feels, it's got to feel outdoors, right? So I think foliage, so like trees, branches, that kind of thing. Because I kind of imagine that, like, let's go back to scene one. The idea is what's on this screen is like moving through the woods, maybe, or like some foliage swaying, and then we push in. We're gonna push in through that foliage. We're gonna be, oh man, it's like a monster coming through the woods. And then those like trees and stuff are going to part, and then we're going to be, at the back of a drive-in movie theater, which will be fun. Okay. So foliage bugs. Umacorn says bugs. Everyone, I'm going to tell you right now, I like all creatures. I think animals are great. I despise bugs. I do not like having bugs just flying around, landing on me. It makes me very upset. This is why I stay inside a lot. It's because of my aversion to bugs. Granted, I don't think anybody likes having bugs crawl on them. That's somebody's something, but yeah, just drives me up the wall. I just do not like bugs. Made a bad choice of continuing to live in Canada if I don't like bugs in the summertime. Okay. So yeah, nighttime, cars, vehicles, foliage, bugs. Anything else? We can figure out all those little details, but I think these are the big takeaways, right? That this scene, before I leave this movie theater, I did want to try to colorize it a little bit, because I know we talked a little bit about, I kind of want to be going from like a blue type environment. Oh, does that make sense though? Ooh, boy. Ooh. Okay, hold on. Which color goes with which? Okay. I do like these. I do like the primary kind of like this bluies and then these kind of orangey yellows and then kind of the pink situation. But which one goes with which? This one should be the pink one, I think, because I wanted red curtains. There'd probably be those red seats, right? It's usually like red curtains, red seats. So maybe this is the red scene. Nighttime is typically blue cast, so that'll be kind of the bluey scene, and then the home theater is going to be kind of the yellow feeling scene. I think that helps. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna start touching this up to be more of the ready pink colors, and then we'll deal with that. And Wasib in the chat is asking, what do you do if you feel exhausted but still have to work to pay the bills? You do the work. That's an interesting question on two accounts. One, because capitalism takes all the joy from all things. Nah, some people like it. Ultimately, though, there's a lot of corporate work that I do that is, it's like, it's kind of is what it is, right? Like, job is job. And one of the things that I think is rough is like, well, if we're going to do this thing, right? If we're going to do this thing as a career, and if it's something that you literally can only do if like certain hyper-specific criteria are being met at a certain time, then it's going to be a much harder career. The question of how do I find motivation is one that pervades all things. Hello. I'm very bad at names, but Tune? Tune? Is that how you pronounce an E and U together? Werhoven is a little bit easier. Or Verhoeven. It really depends on your pronunciation situation. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers anybody's sort of question. The question about finding motivation while doing work that may be unenjoyable. It's tough. Really, that's one of the rough things that I can only say. Okay, so we're going to go from red zone. Tune. Oh, it's just tune. Tune. The EU sound is one that I've never really put in enough practice to get, you know. It's like Teutonic? Is that the idea? Maybe it's like that. Which I guess would be very German. All right. Ah, this is becoming more horrifying by the moment. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go from this scene, and then the next scene, like I said, you know, I thought yellow was the way to go, but blue is actually where I want to be at. Oh, tune your Dutch. Well, hello, hello. I got family out in Netherlands these days. My wife is Dutch. So yeah, what we're creating is, for those who are joining us late, as many people do. What we're creating is this idea of moving from scene to scene. So we're going to move from a movie theater scene. Today is really just some pre-production stuff, right? So the pre-production idea is we're going to move from this scene, and then we're going to move into this other scene. We're getting there. Hold on. We're going to move into this other scene, which we want to be like an outdoor drive-in movie theater. Then we're going to move into another scene, which is going to be a home theater. And then we're going to move back into that first scene, which is regular movie theater again. So that's the loop that we're trying to make happen. Yeah, we're going to see what we can do. Martha says caffeine is your friend when you're too tired to do the work. I think it's important to recognize when you have physical fatigue, when you have mental fatigue. What is it about a thing that may be unsatisfying? I don't know. Even for the most banal of corporate work that I get into, there is a challenge there. There is something interesting to deal with. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that stuff. Okay. So what do we say? We said stars, moon, cars, foliage, bugs were the things that we wanted. And again, we're just blocking this out, right? We're just trying to make big moves out here, trying to get to something satisfying that is going to be kind of close. And hopefully we can arrive there in good time. I don't know. I don't want to promise that we're going to really nail this thing in the next however many minutes we got left with each other here. But we will try. We will endeavor to try. I'm going to put a big old moon up here. You know, I always think of Bob Ross whenever I say that. I'm always like, you know, if in your composition there's a moon out there, you know, you just put that moon right out wherever you want it, and that's where that moon lives, you know. He doesn't say, you know, oh, he has so little filler. He's great. We are moving forward. Oh man, so this is gonna have to be like 3D. And way out. Guys, the moon is huge. Is that even going to make sense? I feel like the moon is going to confuse things in its tracking and scale. So let's just consider stars back there. Let's think about stars. And yeah. Cars. Let's put in cars because those are going to be sort of the foreground element that we're going to be moving past to get where we want to go. Let's try to plomp those into the world here. And again, like I said, we're just plomping out things that are going to look correct, right? Like They just need to be in kind of the right places, in the right spaces, filling up kind of where blocks of things are going to be at. And understanding that this is just rough geometry that we're dealing with. Ultimately, if I can let you in on a little secret, we might end up just doing this stuff in something like Cinema 4D, right? Because we are going to be moving past a bunch of things, things that may be three-dimensional or will maybe play better if they are sort of a three-dimensional object, right? And so I think ultimately, let's just put out some little blocks and let's just try to figure out where we want those to be, and how those are going to affect kind of each other and the space around them. Anyway, that's my spiel on that. Now, to drive-in, things aren't super regular, right? Things could be unevenly spaced. There might be people sitting on a car, just lounging out. And so maybe like this a little bit. Maybe I'll just adjust these. Try to feel around some kind of randomness to this. Right, because we're coming into this. From here, forward. Okay. But yeah, questions in the chat. Was this Menage was asking what it takes to actually be a freelancer. Planning, business skills, clients. Clients is what it takes. That's a key component. Usually I think the screen is up pretty high, right? I think. Oh, yeah, we just cruise past. If these are going to be cars, right? So this is why we're doing this blocking out stuff. If these are going to be cars, just know that we won't see them for very long, right? We're going to move past, and it'll be just these kind of front row people that we get to check out. So we're going to open it up, and then we're going to push in. So I think from here sort of to here, this needs to be covered up with that foliage that we talked about. Foliage. Anyway, so what is that going to be? Is that going to be like branches? Branches? I don't know. Thinking about that. AB Graphics is asking, I think first we should work on Illustrator to create various scenes and then animate them isn't good. So here's what's up. Let me try to explain why we're doing things this way, right? Having a motion-driven piece, if this were an illustration-based piece, if we were taking static illustration and working off of that, then we'd probably start in Illustrator. But because what I'm interested in primarily is this movement from a scene to another scene to a third scene and so on, that's why we're starting here to deal with this phase of pre-production first, to block out and to understand, like, how many cars do we really need? What level of detail would we even want on those cars? Is it appropriate for us to work in Illustrator, or are these cars better made as 3D objects and then brought into the scene, right? How long and how much detail are we going to have with each of those elements, right? So to even know if we want to open up Illustrator to create these assets, sometimes you need to figure out your motion first, hence this. Hence this. So that's why we're kind of working things out in here. And these are all like little car placeholders. So I know, well, I probably only need 4 kind of hero cars. Really, I only need 2 kind of hero cars. And ultimately, these can just be barely anything, right? So that kind of works. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. I want to put out in the world the screen that this is projected on. I think that's going to be critical, right? Because it needs to be projected on a screen. That's the only real way any of this is going to work, right? So there's that. I guess there could be like trees. There could be like dark kind of trees in the background, maybe. That would make sense. So let me just duplicate this again. Put it back. Because like I said, we're trying to build out the scene, trying to figure out like interplays of light and dark. Question is, if this were for a, should I be doing sketches or storyboards? Probably, right? This probably would have started as storyboards. The one thing that I think is interesting about that is that in this case, I sort of already had the boards kind of really clear in my head about we're going from this to this to this. And it's the movement that I'm like, that's the unknown, right? What am I solving for in here? And so that's why we're ending up with this kind of a situation that the thing I need to solve for is sort of the movement of this stuff. And that's why that's the element that I'm kind of dealing with first. Warp. Again, like I said, this is not, this will be refined. This will be replaced with trees later. So, right now it can just be like nothing, and then it'll be replaced with trees. So, we're getting there. We are getting there. In terms of what would you be sending to clients for approval? Yeah, definitely. You'd want to be sending some kind of sort of animatic, that kind of thing. Hopefully that helps. Didn't drive-ins used to have like those little boxes and then you would hang them on your car? You know what? If anybody is familiar with what I'm talking about, please help validate my nostalgia, I guess. Maybe this is like up on posts or something, right? Like this would be like up on a post. Would that make sense? And then it would like hit the ground. In this case, it seems to intersect with this car, so I think we need to fix that up in some way. Why do they intersect with each other? Oh, one's on top of the other. Huh, that's interesting. That is interesting for many reasons. This car is parked way too close to the board. Back up. Don't park that close. It's bad for your eyeballs. Okay. Manoj is asking, how do you get over that awkward bit of stating your price for your work? I don't know if... Man, it's hard to give advice on that particular idea. I have rarely had a hard time telling people what I'm worth and what they should be paying me. It's, I mean, if the trouble is knowing and to understand market prices, etc., and how much you should be charging, that's an amount of research and, figuring out how you want to personally be setting your prices. But in terms of communicating that price to other people, like it's a business, man. Businesses be business, and there's no taboo in telling people to pay you. When you go to a restaurant, they don't feel there's no hang-ups about putting something on a menu, right? And you go anywhere that someone is providing a service, that there's no hang-ups on that, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe I've been in capitalism too long, but the idea of telling someone to pay me is pretty natural. That being said, I've been working since I was like 12 in various jobs, so the idea of exchanging labor for money feels natural, and so maybe that's a hump to get over. I don't know. I mean, is the question about how do I communicate prices? How do I set prices? Is this about having confidence in your work to see it as valuable? Like Wasib said, you have to value your work and value your time. And that's sort of another can of worms, That's between me and my therapist. Okay, foliage. Let's deal with this foliage a little bit. Again, rough shapes, right? Just rough shapes. Don't be too concerned with, does it look good? Does it look right? It's not going to look good. It's not going to look right. No way. This is early drafts, right? That's not what's up. That's not where we're at here. And we're going to push through it pretty quick. Maybe not that quick. There we go. Okay. Oh, so the question, how do you communicate your prices? Right, so there's many different formats. If you are interested in the formats of communicating price to people, there are many ways to do it. Some people are per project, some people are per hour. Ultimately, you want to make sure that you are respecting your time diligently, right? So that you are making good choices about valuing what you do and how you do it, and making sure that it makes sense. But yeah, AB Graphics asks if I'm teaching Mograph, like right now. Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. Always with the funny answers, me. Oh boy, I don't know how I do it. All right. But whether I'm teaching it like at an institution or something, then no, I do not currently do such things. No institution will hire me. No, I haven't really been looking. I will, however, be speaking at a conference coming up, one of those fun virtual conferences. If that's something that you're interested in seeing, observing, having more of in your day, Adobe Video World is coming up, so hopefully that's good. There we go. So we're going to kind of blow past this stuff here. Move this towards the lens. Yeah. But it doesn't need to go that way. It needs to go opposite way. There we go. So we're just kind of through the woods here. So the question is, boop. Oh boy, more. Menage. Let's see. Shall we name those layers? No, Danielle, never. No, these. I don't even know what I'll end up doing with these things. Like I said, it's all very temporary. Very, very temporary. Okay, let's see these two in context. Now just imagine in the final version that these are like rustling and really neat, right? Oh, that's right, Scott. I've not yet loaded it into the switcher, so we can't go to Tangent Town. Oh, I got sidetracked from my own sidetrack. Menage is saying, how do you charge per hour per project? I mean, we're gonna this week actually, or this coming week, we're gonna have Haley Akins of the Motion Hatch community and podcast coming up. So she's going to be on the channel, and we're going to be talking about sort of freelancing and setting prices and all that good stuff, so that we'll be able to have sort of a more nuanced discussion about that, because it's like a big discussion to get into about rates and estimatings and costings and all that stuff. So rustle, these things are rustling, and then, oh boy, then they start to move, and then we push through them. I don't know. So Toon is saying that the things should only move when the frame is full. Well, maybe. I'm of the mind that the movement needs to have begun sort of earlier, right? So imagine that these things are always going to be kind of rustling and jumbling a little bit, right? Like there's going to be movement in this, right? So that it kind of makes sense. They should only come apart when we come through, right? But there should be movement in this. I mean, we could just put like a... What form of wiggle? I don't know. Now, I kind of think that what we'll likely end up doing, I feel like there needs to be some impetus to action, right? So like a hand is coming out and like pushing these fronds away, right? push the fronds, push the fronds. And so hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, let's see. Oh boy, we only got half an hour left to hang out here. Well, Steve in the chat, you wish to assist me in my work. Where do you send your resume? I don't know. I don't have any job openings. So it's tough to say where to put the resume. You should send resumes to people who are hiring. That would be a good idea. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I think... Because the idea is, like, these people are supposed to be watching a movie. What movie starts with just foliage? This is interesting. Albert is asking how to randomize Wiggle. I mean, so... Oh, boy. Wiggle currently operates on... Wiggle currently operates on noise. Wiggle is operating on a noise situation. Now, what we're saying is 0.5 times a second, vary this value this much, but within that range, right? So there is sort of randomize the Wiggle. So I guess the question is, like, what do you want the values to actually be doing, right? Like, what control do you want over the values? What kind of change in the values do you want? Because maybe what you actually want to do is not use Wiggle. What you actually want to use is random or noise or Perlene noise. Like, there's all these different randomness operators, right? And that is probably what you want to do. And the other thing is that Wiggle is kind of layer specific in that it's kind of referencing the index of the layer that it's on. If you want the Wiggle to not... So, hold on, let me just solo this layer so we can see. If you're like, well, this Wiggle is okay, but it's not really doing the thing I want, well, then what you need to do is change the random seed that the Wiggle is referencing. So you'd probably want to use seed random to make that happen. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense, that depending on what you actually want this thing to do, Wiggle may not actually be what you intended to use. There are many other random generators, random controls. And Scott McMahon, you are right. The Behance chat, far more chill. The YouTube chat is spicy. It's a spicy time on the YouTube chat sometimes. A lot of questions, hopefully a lot of answers. Probably not, though. These are probably not good answers that I am giving, so you never know. But yeah. Okay, so is this the amount of pre-production that I think is good here? We'll barely see these cars. So really we're just doing this to kind of inform later choices. For me, something that I think is really critical when I'm thinking like, what do I really want to have hanging out here in the space? I like the idea of someone like sitting on the roof of their car. That I find really appealing. This idea of like, I'm just sitting on the roof of my truck watching the movie. So that might be something. Anyway, maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. Maybe instead it's nothing. So if I was gonna get someone sitting on the roof of a car, how high would that be? Right, so trying to figure that out. And that's right, Excellence. There's a Behance stream. Things are streaming on behance.net. And yeah. Behance.net/ECAbrams/livestream. That'll get you to the Behance. It's a cool spot. So, because what I kind of want is for us to see little silhouettes of people sitting on the roof of their car enjoying this. So maybe that means that cars need to be jacked up a little bit. I think that would probably make sense. I don't know. Let me see if I can just really quickly... trying to figure out, like, how big should a person be? You know? If this is a person, and they're going to be sitting, so we only need half their torso, so, I don't know. This is kind of person-sized, right? So that would be the torso. That's probably big enough. Okay. Drop this down. Which car? This is the car roof? This is the roof in question? Are these they? Whoop. Whoop. Does this make sense in the context of the car? So if there's going to be sitting there, and then there's probably going to be another person sitting over here, sitting on the roof of the car. Yes, we can still kind of just lightly kind of see their heads poking out. That's going to be fine. Okay. Do I know, Wasib asked, do I know Daniel Geese? I can't even pronounce their name correctly. I don't think I do. Maybe I do. I might know of them. The name does not currently ring any bells this morning. I don't know. Who are they? And what are they doing? I'd like to know people. I like knowing people. Okay, so there we go. Oh boy. So yeah, we've done... Let's see. So we're going for the red, into this. Manoj says, no size proportions. Yeah, I think reality could stand to not be in proportion for a little bit. Okay, so then we are entering... Then we enter scene 2, and then from scene 2, we are going to be entering scene 3. Scene 3 was going to be the yellow one that we enter, right? That was the plan anyway. And so, where does this scene start? In a house, I guess? What would they be watching on? What are they watching on there? Like someone moving through a house? Because it has to end up, by this point, it's got to be people on a couch watching a thing, right? And so we're sort of seeing from behind them. Yeah. I mean, how big is a big screen TV? I don't even know. I'm not a regular TV viewer. Thinking. That's good. That's good stream. Just thinking about how the thing looks. Watching on their tablet. Oh boy. I like that. That's maybe adding more complication to a. Oh boy, this is fun. A lot of people in the YouTube chat are a lot more nervous about saving work, which I think is fun. really, this thing autosaves every so often, you know. At most, I'll lose like 10 minutes of work, which, quite frankly, we haven't been hyper productive around here. So we're not going to be missing much. I don't really like how that intersects. I mean, now I can't save my work because because too many people are yelling about it. It's impossible. It's so strange that way. Oh, well. It's going to be like a couch of some kind. Let's see. Let's see. You only live once. You only live once, PD. That's right. I think it's really interesting. A lot of people have... I think it's interesting that a lot of people have, like... stability issues with After Effects. I have a crash in After Effects, I'm going to say once a year. So that's, you know, where things are at. I don't experience the same kind of stability problems, I think, that other people have with their machines. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. But yeah, let's see. So what to do, what shows home, right? Because this is people watching at home. Couch, I think we've already kind of decided what's up in the house. I think this is going to be a television. So I think a bezel around the TV. I need to show that it is a TV. Let's see. We need to... couch. We've already got couch. Dog? Would like a dog and a cat be something interesting in here? I think it's important to have like a family. I'm just going to write fam. And then like kind of get this stuff in the area. What else would be... There'll be like windows. But then I'd have to make things that are outside, right? Just not... Yeah, pictures on the wall. I think that's good. Yeah, plants. People seem to like plants. Which is great, because I'll just reuse some of the plant assets from the previous scene. You know what, Danielle, you get me. You get what's up. I don't want to draw more plants. I'll maybe draw 3 plants, and that'll be enough. Yeah, so we'll get some objects on the walls. Maybe like that whole kind of hi-fi stereo situation in the house. These are all good things. Yeah. Lamps. Yeah, people like lamp. Yeah, these are good. Lego on the floor. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then we return to the first scene. Okay, so let's see. It's going to be a TV. We did talk about... Oh, yeah, we talked about needing to shift this scene into a more yellow mode. Because that was going to be this... Ugh, yellow never looks great when we're... What do we got? We got blues, we got reds. Maybe we just split the difference and the home is more of a purple space. I don't know. I got about 10 more minutes to hang, and then then I'll have to move on to some other stuff in my day. So let's see what else is kind of going on in the chat. See if there's other things. Hey, my buddy Tim Riel's in the Behance. Hey, buddy. That's right, Tim. We're making rooms. You have some rooms. Yeah, let's try to do purpley rooms, I think. I think they're all going to be mostly kind of darker scenes, though. Then we're going to be moving back into duplicate of scene 1. But yeah, let's see. Let's see. Gotta do something about the bezel of the TV, so let's make that a priority, I think. Drop in that. Ooh, I do not like this intersection of the... Oh, man, it's so easy. They can just turn on the TV. Ah, that's great. I love that. So easy. Now, the big question is, it's this push here that needs to be sort of good, right? And there's going to be, like, heads in the way and stuff. So this probably needs to actually be pulled back quite a bit. Yeah. So we'll see the TV on the media console, and then we're pushing in. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah, because then we push past the fam, and then we're into that. Okay. Yeah, and then let me just really quick, I'm going to just drop some trash up on the wall here because we need to have a little bit of parallax in the wall zone. So I don't know, maybe there's going to be like, oh, you know what? This is supposed to be like a home theater, right? So that means that there needs to be like cool speakers. Like big tower speakers. Yeah, and then we're... Alright, and then maybe... Oh, well, maybe they could be like movie posters if this person's like a big movie fan. They like films. Yeah, bloop, blop, bleep. All right. Let's see. I think that is... I just want to, real quick... Let's get scene 4 out of there. Because... You want to delete scene 4? Yeah, let's delete it. And we're basically just at the check your work part of the program here. Right, because scene 4 that contains a copy of scene 2. But up until this point, that's fine. Right? All right. Boop. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to play back. I'm just going to set this to show us what's up while I skim through and see what people are asking in the chat, see if there's anything kind of good we can get into here. Because, you know, we got about 5 or so minutes while we hang out. Jamba Juice wants to see some surround sound. Tim's making fun of my 1996 room situation, which is fine. And now we're just kind of moving between the scenes. Let's see. What do people look out on here? Blah, 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 blah. Da, 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 dee, dee, dee. Someone's asking about how to use Saber plugins. Hard to say. There's a lot of ways. Depends on the plugin. But yeah, let's see. Anything else going on? Anyway, hopefully this kind of works here. Yeah, I'm just kind of watching it through and seeing kind of like what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Granted, there's a lot of things to not like about what we're seeing in here. In particular, okay, so this... Yeah, this scene here requires a revelation of some kind. A revelation. It needs a revealing, right? So, like I said, we're doing broad strokes here. We're thinking about, ultimately, these are going to get all replaced with things. This is going to get replaced with stuff. All these cars are going to get replaced with things. So this is kind of like the broad strokes, how this stuff fits together, right? And with this kind of planning stuff out of the way, we can actually get into, you know, what assets, what do we really need in these spaces? Yeah, because in this one, we're going to come in and, like, I'm wondering. So I'm starting to think... The gray scene is suggestive. Which scene is the gray one? This one? I don't know, man. Everybody's something's... I don't know, Tim. Everything is something to somebody. Yeah, so I think this, to me, I'm just going to make notes that, like, this needs something else here on its way to that. So that might mean... that this is either doing something else or it's... moving in a different way. Yeah, because I feel like there needs to be something before we... I think all the other ones kind of have something going on before we move into this. I think it might make sense, really, if we just kind of cut between different... Yeah, so there needs to be something in here, and it might just be as simple as maybe doing like 3 cuts, kind of 3 cuts to show like establishing shot of house. That might be the way to go. Because that's going to be a really simple way to just have it on screen. Like projector starts up, like we push through the leaves, the projector starts up, establishing shot, closer, then we're in the home, then we're moving in. And then at this phase, I think what we would have, we might do like, maybe this will start as like, kind of like a quasi Netflix looking interface. And then we push forward into that. And then something actually starts playing. And then this resolves. Yeah. Okay. I think that's the way to go. We got plans. Folks. So not only do we have plans, but now we actually have something to work on tomorrow. So we can work on transforming this into something more complete and more interesting to work on. This might be an ongoing project because we do have a few scenes to get through. We have a lot of things to improve, we'll say, with this stuff. So that's going to be, I don't know, that's going to kind of do it for me around here. Hopefully that's been good for everyone. Hopefully it's been a worthwhile time hanging out. You never really know. You know, hopefully this stuff has been marginally helpful. To think. Coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be back on 10 o'clock for a little bit, doing this stuff. Try to take this scene, scenes plural, a little bit further, and to try to make this to start to look good. We can now start to actually look at our work, to look at what we've got in our pre-production phase here, and to start to assess, you know, how are we going to make these branches that we need to go through? How are we going to make various speaker systems? What needs to be two-dimensional? What needs to be three-dimensional? You know, we're going to have the flexibility to pick and choose what we want to do to kind of bring this thing together. So I'll start looking into some options. We'll start figuring it out, and I don't know, might take us a few turns to get through it. One bumbling 2-hour question answering span at a time. So yeah, hopefully that's nice, and that's good. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me today. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's also being streamed on Behance at the moment. So if you want to hang out with what's going on over there. A lot of people were mentioning, yeah, it is hard to kind of keep up with the chat and to do work. So, you know, hopefully I'm able to keep on top of that stuff. I don't even know if this is good. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all tomorrow for more. And I'm going to try to load up that graphic that we did for Tangent Town so that we can actually use it. Oh, I was a little bit late getting on. I'm trying to get fit these days, so I'm doing some cardio in the morning. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you all for hanging out. Subscribe, like, follow, do all those things, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, bye for now, and have a great day.